Well, this is an interesting turn of events. We're covering something Shrek related today, but our resident Shrekspert Billy, that's Shrek expert by the way, he's not covering it. It's me. So why? Well, to be honest, it's because I have a personal history with this thing and only recently has the memory been unlocked and all that negativity came rushing back. It's time to cover Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom, Shrek's Lost City Simulator app. His bad Lost City Simulator app, I might add. So what is this thing? First of all, I have to correct you on one thing. It's not what is this thing, it's what was this thing. Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom no longer exists, but we'll talk about that later. This was an Apple-exclusive app developed by Beeline Interactive and released by Capcom. Yes, that Capcom. That would normally be a good sign, but given a lot of the things that Capcom's been up to recently, yeah. They partnered up with DreamWorks Animation to make the Shrek-based city simulator app. Basically, it would loosely follow the events of the first movie, going through all the events that transpired there, plus some new ones created specifically for the game, and have you play as either Shrek, Donkey, Lord Farquaad, or Princess Fiona as they develop whatever region they're currently in. There was the Windmill, Shrek Swamp, Duloc, and the Dragon's Keep. You as the player would be tasked with building all these structures that would either help you advance in the plot or help you make money, as well as playing a series of minigames, one exclusive for each world, and going on quests. On the surface, the game sounds pretty good, but there's a big catch to each and every one of these. First off, space in your world is very limited. You can't build whatever you want. And unlike in other games like, say, Tapped Out, you can't buy more land. You can get some extensions, but not very many. You'll run out of room very quickly, so it really becomes difficult to make this place your own. You can't exactly customize things the way you want, especially because you need room for all the key items. And I'm sure had the game lasted longer, they would have added more updates so you could get more space. But since we never got that, I don't really think it's fair to associate that into the overall judgment. I just have to go with what we got. And what we got was tight and cramped. There's other decorations and stuff you can use, but why bother? You need all that space. Plus, the decorations are exactly that. Decorations. They don't really do anything at all. The minigames are different for every world, yes, but they get kind of old after a while because there's not too much variation. Because there's only one unique minigame for each world, you tend to play that same one over and over and over again. And even if they started off being fun, like the Make Ogre game that was in all the advertisements, because the only thing that changes is the difficulty and speed, you end up longing for something else. And then of course, there's the quests. During the time when the game was out, this was the most infamous part of the entire thing. Basically, your character would set out on some kind of adventure, and if they won, they got some kind of reward like money, experience, or wishes. Now, what are wishes, you ask? Trust me, we'll get to those soon. On these quests, you need to fight off villagers, jump over obstacles, and cross through dangerous terrain, all of which cost stamina. Stamina is represented by this apple bar in the top corner of the screen. And if you run out of that, you're done. You're finished. That quest has been failed. The quests are just kind of the same thing over and over again. You just gotta manage your stamina and power through the obstacles until you get to a certain point in the game where you just can't win anymore. No matter what you do, you can never get to the end goal. Because your stamina grows really slowly as you level, there's just not enough for you to fight off all the different things that wait for you on these quests. That means that you need to rely on in-app purchases to get farther in the game. Oh yes, this is where the wishes come into play. They're basically this game's equivalent to Zombie Farm Brains or Simpsons Tapped Out Donuts. They can do whatever you want. Need a little bit more stamina? Pay for some with wishes. Want to skip the long wait while you're waiting for the next key item to be built? Use some wishes. The game will give you a wish every so often during a quest, and by every so often I mean once in a blue moon, so if you want them, you gotta shell out some hard-earned money. And there is no other way to progress in the game at all. It really does become a wall at some point. You either have to grind for days and possibly even months, or give them $5 so you can level up and then do the same thing over and over again. Doesn't that just sound great? Gee, both options sound so fun, I don't know which one to choose. That's the core of this game, sadly. That's what makes it so bad. Yeah, the spaces are kind of cramped, yeah, the art style's a little weird, yeah, the minigames can get a little bit old after a while, but none of that matters if you get brick-walled and can't move at all. So you really can't experience all that this game had to offer if you don't pay up. Now, I know what you're gonna say. This is a free-to-play game. Obviously, much like its competitors like Simpsons Tapped Out, which I'm going to be mentioning a few more times throughout this video, they want you to pay for their premium currency. That's how they make money. That's how they keep the game going. While yes, it's true, The Simpsons Tapped Out does it a bit better. For one, you don't need donuts to progress. Obviously, if you want some of the more premium content, you have to shell out a few dollars. But if you don't, you can still play the game. Because there's no set end objective, you can play it however you want and you don't have to give them any money. But if you do give them money, you know that you're paying for an enhanced experience. Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom doesn't play that way. You have to pay them money. It'd be one thing if Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom didn't have the wish system and they just had you pay like $5 up front. Yeah, you'd be paying for the game, but so what? You still get a good experience. The way that they have it in Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom is honestly kind of predatory. Even though the original Shrek film kind of had more of an adult audience in mind, do you know who this game was designed for? Children! And who doesn't really have a good grasp of how money works? Children. So obviously when the kids are playing, they're gonna get stuck. And they realize that the only way that they can progress is by using some of their parents' money to buy a few wishes. That was completely intentional, I'm convinced. There is no way that the game would have ended up like this if that wasn't the case. Another reason why games like Tapped Out and the Quest for Stuff work even when you don't have the premium currency is because there's always a lot to do. Even if you're waiting for a building to be built or for a character to finish their story, what you can do is customize your town, buy up a bunch more land, finish some side quests. There's a ton of things you can do. But because Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom follows a linear narrative, you can't really do that, at least as much. And again, everything that they do have is either broken because of the paywall, or it gets old really quickly. There was no reason to seek this game out because there were so many similar and better games on the App Store. You know what? Now that I think of it, I kinda realize why this game got made at all. It was to compete with the popular city simulator market. Let's face it, Tapped Out came out around this time and it was a gigantic success. Why wouldn't Beeline Interactive and Capcom try to cash in on this? It seems like a great way to make some quick money. Only problem is that was their main focus and they didn't put the game first. In doing research for this game, I ended up finding one of the online profiles of one of the lead designers, Paul Nunez, and according to his history here, it seems like his main area of expertise are similar games to this. You know, city simulators where you gotta wait a long time for the buildings to be built, but then you can pay for some premium currency to make it go faster. Things like that. But according to the reviews of all the ones that are still up, those ones are a lot of fun. So am I blaming Nunez for this? Absolutely not. In fact, I think he was doing the best with what he was given. His descriptions made me realize that there were a lot of good ideas with this. You know, the questing mechanic, all the mini games you can play. It's just that in execution it didn't really work out. Also, he said that he balanced the economy here, which, sorry man, I don't think that happened. I'm not sure of the specific time, but at some point, this game was completely removed from the App Store. All traces of it gone. I tried to get it back to look at some reviews to kinda cite my sources, but no, all gone. And it seems like that happened with most all of Beeline Interactive's games. Their last post on Facebook was in 2016, so it looks like the company's now gone for good. Smurfs Village still lives on, but it seems like it's under a different company. So before we go today, I want to tell you my personal experience with Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom because, as I mentioned before, I played this when I was younger and I wasn't a fan. So I was playing a little game called Office Jerk. You guys remember that one? Oh yeah. Good times. When I was playing, I got an ad that advertised Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom. I thought to my young self, alright, this sounds like it might be worth a try. It's Shrek after all. And I love Shrek, and besides, I just got into this new Simpsons Tapped Out game, so maybe this will be similar. I had a good time at first, but then level progression became harder, and my stamina just wasn't going up, and the obstacles were getting more difficult, and of course, it kept enticing me to buy more wishes. Keep in mind, I never wanted to buy wishes at all, ever, so I didn't. And because of that, my playing experience really suffered. And it got to about halfway through the game when I realized, no, This isn't worth it. I'm not having a good time. I'm just getting frustrated. Time to delete this thing once and for all. And then sure enough, I deleted it, and by the time I remembered it existed again, it was completely gone. And now, all that really exists online are some gameplay reviews that only go through the first 10 minutes, as well as some trailers and simple stills. So yeah, this thing's completely gone. And kind of forgotten. Until now, at least. And even if they did have some good ideas on paper, this was not a good game. Honestly, I'd say that we're better off without it. It was just a cash-in, cash grab, and nothing else. Just another way to ride The Simpsons' tapped-out popularity. And that there is the legacy of Shrek's Fairytale Kingdom. Well, folks, thanks for watching the video. What'd you guys think? Have you played this game before? If so, what did you think? Do you have any memories of it you'd like to share? Comment below and let us know, because we're always excited to hear what you guys have to say. Real quick, I'd like to thank our Patreon executive producers, Leaf Razor, Azarius, Whoopdoo, Michaela Bellamy, MD the Dude, Blackjack, Nightingale Wednesday Nightmare, and Unkale. If you two would like your name read at the end of every Media Mementos video, then consider donating to our Patreon, which, by the way, has a link in the description below. You know what time it is, folks. It's time for the comment of the day. Today's comment of the day goes to the space between our houses. For all that I love Bob, Linda, and the other adult characters, I really love the episodes that focus on all the kids. They remind me a lot of how growing up in the 80s and 90s was. Having adventures in our own little worlds, not to mention the episodes heavily inspired by the Goonies and E.T. I was definitely a Tina, still am lol. But there were some Andy and Ollie types in my class. Oh yeah, definitely. That's exactly what we said in the video too, you know? You feel like you were Andy and Ollie sometimes, or hey, some of the other kids too. You look at them and go, yep, that was me. Yep, I did that. I don't know who I was exactly. I don't think I was Andy and Ollie. I was a little too reserved for that as a kid. Yeah, I was a pretty shy kid. Not so much now, but hey, that's what growing up's about. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.